Hey guys, my name is Mike Link, and I did my missionary biography on Lesslie Newbigin, who was a 20th century missionary. He was born in 1909 in Newcastle, England. He grew up in a Christian family, went to boarding school in high school where he walked away from the faith, but was a brilliant mind and really started to gain a plethora of academic knowledge. It was at Queen's College where he went after high school, where he really began to get interested in the student Christian ministry that they had there called the SCM. The first summer after college, he worked at a camp in a destitute area of Wales for the unemployed. There was basically a drunken brawl that happened one night that he was right in the midst of, and he just felt complete hopelessness and no power in himself to control anything. It was that night in a vision where he gave his life to Christ. He said that he saw a vision of the cross that spanned the entire globe, so deep and so wide, and he committed to follow Christ at that point, which led him to seminary. And then in October 1936, newly married, he undertook to go to India, and he spent the next almost 40 years in India until 1974 with his family. He was the Bishop of Madras initially, which was a 100-mile span of churches he was responsible for. And really, he was seen as a unifier in that area. He was in the South Indian Union of Churches. He was instrumental in bringing several different mainline denominations and churches of different backgrounds together. He also held leadership positions at the International Missions Council and also through the World Council of Churches over the next several decades, but continued to be involved in the area of Madras that he was, leading people to Christ and building up church. After he came back to England, he finished out the rest of his life from 1974 to 1998 back in England, and he was the pastor of a church called Mary Hill. I think a cool story that illustrates Newbigin's life is this was a destitute area. On one side of the church, there was an insane asylum. Another side, there was a jail, railroad tracks, and a factory in a really rough area, a predominantly Indian background, and nobody wanted the pastorate. So he took it, and he did that for a long period of time and built that congregation. But one of the things he found in going back to England is that the conversations about Christianity and Jesus in India, many of the Hindu faith practitioners were more open to the things of Christianity than people in England. And he realized the Western culture had really closed off. He said even amongst those in church, the liberal side was just more, they were confusing the cross with just Western contextualization and just the Enlightenment and the modern and moving into the postmodern era. And then the conservative side confused it with the American dream, and nobody got the gospel right. In addition to being a pastor during this time of his career in England, he also became an international speaker and wrote over 30 books. Some of you may have read some of them. Foolishness to the Greeks is one. The Gospel in a Pluralist Society is another. I became interested in Newbigin because I've listened to a lot of Tim Keller messages over the years, and Keller said of Newbigin that when I came to New York to plant Redeemer Presbyterian, I felt like Newbigin understood me more than anybody else with his views of where Western culture had eroded to. He had a lot of critics. He had academic critics that said he never held an academic post and couldn't be trusted. And then the theological critics questioned him not having a fully stated, fully formed theology. Some questioned whether he was a universalist or not, but as I read, I was encouraged that he had a vision for unity amongst churches that would testify to the unity that we have in Christ. He was a brilliant mind and a great missionary. I think one of the quotes that I wanted to leave us with, this is a picture of Lesslie Newbigin here. He says, "The only hermeneutic of the gospel is a congregation of men and women who believe in it and live by it." What I was most encouraged by is Lesslie Newbigin is a man who practiced what he preached, and he made a tremendous impact in India, in England, and around the world. So